What if I told you that the sound keeping you awake at night isn't coming from outside your home? And in many cases, it isn't even coming from your ears? Here is something that almost nobody talks about. For a significant number of people, the ringing, the hissing, the high-pitched whistle that follows you into every quiet room, it's being amplified inside your brain. Your brain is turning up the volume on a signal that has grown faint. And the reason it's doing that? It's trying to hold on to something it's losing. But here's the part most people don't realize. Tinnitus, that's the medical name for this ringing, doesn't have a single cause. It can come from hearing loss, from problems in the middle ear, from nerve-related conditions, or even from stress and anxiety. Understanding which pathway is driving yours is what opens the door to actually doing something about it. My name is Dr. Linda Harrington, and today on Golden Glow Senior, I want to walk you through the science of what's really happening. And just as importantly, what your body may be asking you to pay attention to right now. Stay with me. What I'm going to share with you around the 7-minute mark may genuinely change how you think about your health. Let's begin. Let me paint a picture for you. Deep inside your ear, there are thousands of microscopic hair cells, tinier than anything you can see with the naked eye. Their entire job is to catch sound waves and convert them into electrical signals that travel up the auditory nerve to your brain. Think of them like tiny antennas, each one tuned to a different frequency, all transmitting constantly. Now, over time, especially after 60, some of those antennas go quiet, maybe from noise exposure years ago, maybe from reduced blood flow, maybe from one of the causes we'll explore shortly. Whatever the reason, certain frequencies stop transmitting. And here's where it gets fascinating. Your brain does not accept silence well. When it notices that a section of your hearing has gone quiet, it does something extraordinary. It increases its own internal amplification on that frequency. It turns up the gain, searching for a signal that isn't coming anymore. Scientists call this central gain. It's your brain refusing to give up. The problem is, when the brain turns up that gain too high, it generates its own static. That static is the ringing you hear when you lie down at night. It's not your ear failing in isolation. It's your entire auditory system, ear and brain together, caught in a feedback loop. Now, this is just one pathway. Tinnitus can also arise from fluid or pressure changes in the middle ear, from tension in the jaw or neck, from nerve inflammation, or from the way stress hormones affect your entire nervous system. The ringing sounds the same, but the source matters because the approach to addressing it depends on understanding where it's coming from. That brings us to the first piece of nutrition science worth knowing about. Your nerves are insulated by a protective coating called myelin. Think of the electrical wiring inside your home. It's that outer layer that keeps the current flowing cleanly and prevents the signal from leaking or short-circuiting. Vitamin B12 is essential for maintaining that myelin coating. Without adequate B12, nerve signaling can become degraded and irregular. And when the auditory nerve is affected, the brain may interpret that irregular signaling as sound. Now, I want to be precise here, because this distinction matters. Most cases of tinnitus are not caused by direct myelin breakdown. B12 deficiency is one possible contributing factor, particularly in cases with a neurological component, but it is not the universal explanation. What the research does show is that in people who have both tinnitus and documented B12 deficiency, correcting that deficiency sometimes leads to a meaningful improvement in symptoms. So it's a piece of the picture, not the whole picture. Here is something important to understand about B12 after 60. Your stomach produces less acid as you age, and you need stomach acid to release B12 from the food you eat. This means that absorption becomes less efficient over time. Not impossible, but meaningfully reduced. You could be eating well and still be running low, simply because the extraction process isn't as effective as it once was. Two medications that are particularly associated with B12 depletion are worth knowing about. Metformin, which is widely used for blood sugar management, and proton pump inhibitors, the acid-reducing medications commonly prescribed for heartburn and reflux. If you take either of these regularly, it's worth having your B12 level checked. Ask your doctor for a serum B12 test. If levels are low, a sublingual B12 supplement, one that dissolves under the tongue, bypasses the digestive process and delivers the vitamin directly into your bloodstream. Good food sources: sardines, clams, wild salmon, and eggs. That's the nerve factor. Now let's talk about a mineral that plays a quieter but equally important role in your auditory system. Deep inside your ear, there's a neurotransmitter called glutamate. Its job is to excite your auditory nerve cells, to fire them up so they can register sound and send signals to the brain. Think of it as the gas pedal for your hearing. But every gas pedal needs a brake. That brake is magnesium. Magnesium helps regulate how much of that excitatory signal passes through your nerve cells. Without enough of it, those nerves can stay in a state of heightened activity, more reactive, more prone to firing when they shouldn't. There's also a vascular component. Magnesium helps keep the small blood vessels feeding your inner ear relaxed and open, which supports adequate oxygen delivery to the hair cells. For these reasons, magnesium has been studied as a potential factor in tinnitus. And the research is genuinely interesting, though still evolving. Now, I want to be careful here about something. You may have heard that leg cramps at night, tension headaches, and trouble sleeping can all be signs of low magnesium, and that's true. But I don't want you to conclude that if you have tinnitus and leg cramps, magnesium deficiency is definitely the explanation. These symptoms can have many causes. What I would say is this: if multiple symptoms like these are present together, it is reasonable to discuss magnesium levels with your doctor, not to self-diagnose, but to get an accurate picture. Great food sources: pumpkin seeds, dark leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard, and, here's one that surprises people, a square of dark chocolate with at least 70% cocoa content. One note of caution: excessive caffeine and certain diuretics prescribed for blood pressure can increase magnesium loss through the kidneys. If you're taking those regularly, your doctor may want to keep an eye on your levels. Before I tell you about the third nutrient, let me pause for a moment. If you're finding this useful, if you're thinking, nobody ever explained it to me this way, I want to ask you something simple. Hit that subscribe button right now and ring the bell next to it. Every week on Golden Glow Senior, I bring you this kind of in-depth, plain language health information, specifically designed for those of us over 60. No jargon, no scare tactics, just real science, the kind your doctor wishes they had time to sit down and walk you through. There are thousands of people in this community who found their way here the same way you did, searching for answers, looking for something that actually makes sense. I'd love for you to be one of us. Now, let's talk about a mineral that lives in a very specific place in your body. Scientists have discovered something remarkable. Your inner ear contains one of the highest concentrations of zinc found anywhere in the human body. That isn't an accident. Zinc plays a protective role for the hair cells. It helps neutralize oxidative stress, the cellular wear and tear that accumulates over time. And it contributes to the precise biochemical environment your hearing structures require to function properly. Multiple clinical studies, specifically in adults over 60 with tinnitus, have found associations between lower zinc levels and greater symptom severity. When zinc was restored in deficient individuals, some reported a reduction in the intensity of the ringing. The evidence is meaningful, though not definitive for everyone. Now, here is something I want to clarify, because it's often misunderstood. You may have heard that tinnitus gets louder when you're sick, and the assumption is that your immune system is stealing zinc from your ears. The reality is more nuanced. When your body mounts an immune response, it redistributes minerals, including zinc, as part of that process. But the worsening of tinnitus during illness is more directly explained by other mechanisms: nasal and ear congestion, inflammation of the eustachian tube that connects your throat to your middle ear, and the heightened stress and tension that comes with being unwell. These physical and neurological changes are more immediate causes of that temporary worsening. The zinc connection matters, but not in the way it's usually explained. The best food source for zinc, by a wide margin, is oysters. Just one or two can meet your daily need. Pumpkin seeds are excellent as well. Chickpeas and cashews are solid plant-based options. One important caution: avoid high-dose zinc supplementation without medical guidance. Excess zinc can displace copper, another mineral your body depends on. Food sources are your safest and most balanced approach. Now, we've covered 3 nutrients, but the most important piece of this conversation is still ahead. Everything I've told you so far, the B12, the magnesium, the zinc, all of it depends on one thing working correctly: delivery. These nutrients are only useful if they can actually reach your inner ear. And the blood vessels that deliver them, narrow, delicate, among the smallest in the body, can be silently damaged by something most people in our age group have never been told to check. Not cholesterol, not blood pressure, something quieter and more insidious: insulin. Here is what I want you to understand. You do not need to be diabetic for this to be relevant to you. Many people, especially over 60, have what researchers call hyperinsulinemia, normal-looking blood sugar, but chronically elevated insulin. Their pancreas is working overtime to keep blood sugar in check, and nobody ordered the test that would show it. When insulin is persistently elevated, it promotes low-grade inflammation in the smallest blood vessels throughout the body, including those feeding the inner ear. Over time, those vessels can thicken and narrow. Blood flow is reduced. Oxygen delivery to the hair cells decreases. The nutrients you're working to maintain can't reach their destination. Studies examining people with chronic tinnitus have found a meaningful overlap with elevated insulin levels. When dietary patterns were adjusted to reduce insulin load, a number of participants reported that the ringing softened, in some cases noticeably, and for the first time in years. This is the piece that most standard checkups miss, not from negligence, but because a fasting insulin test simply isn't included on the routine panel. You have to ask for it specifically. And here is the most empowering part. One of the most effective tools for moderating the post-meal insulin response is completely free, requires no equipment, and takes only 10 minutes: a walk after dinner. When you take a short, easy 10-minute walk after your largest meal, your muscles absorb glucose from that meal more efficiently, reducing the amount of insulin your pancreas needs to release. The vessels stay healthier. Blood flow is preserved. The ears get what they need. The research on post-meal walking and insulin response is well supported and genuinely underused in senior health. It's a small habit with outsized consequences. So let's pull this together, because I want you to leave here with a clear picture. Tinnitus has multiple causes: hearing changes, middle ear conditions, nerve factors, stress, and vascular health. No single nutrient fixes it for everyone. But here are 4 things worth examining with your doctor. First, your nerve health. Is your vitamin B12 adequate? Ask for a serum B12 test, especially if you take metformin or acid-reducing medications. If levels are low, ask about sublingual supplementation. Food sources: sardines, salmon, eggs. Second, your nervous system regulation. Are you getting enough magnesium? Focus on food first: pumpkin seeds, leafy greens, dark chocolate. If you take diuretics or consume a lot of caffeine, discuss your levels with your doctor. Third, your inner ear environment. Zinc is concentrated in the inner ear for a reason. Eat zinc-rich foods consistently: oysters, pumpkin seeds, chickpeas. Don't self-supplement with high doses. Fourth, your vascular health. Ask your doctor to check your fasting insulin, not just your blood sugar. And start a 10-minute walk after dinner. Not for your waistline, for the blood flow your ears depend on. These 4 things work together. Healthier blood flow means nutrients arrive. Adequate nerve support means signals travel cleanly. And a calmer, better nourished nervous system means the volume knob has a chance, gently, to come down. Before I give you your final action step, I want to say something sincerely. You came here looking for answers. That tells me something about you. You're not the kind of person who accepts just live with it, and you shouldn't have to. If this video gave you something real, a new question to ask your doctor, a connection you hadn't made before, even just the feeling that someone finally took this seriously, then please subscribe to Golden Glow Senior right now. Every week, this channel is here to give you exactly this: clear, honest, doctor-guided health information built specifically for life after 60. Not watered down, not generic, real. And if you have a friend or family member lying awake with that same ringing, please share this video with them. You might be giving them something their doctor hasn't had time to give them yet. Now, here's what I want you to do tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, write down 2 things. The first, ask my doctor to check my B12, zinc, and fasting insulin levels. Not just a general checkup, those specific tests. You can show them this list if you need to. A good doctor will be glad you asked. The second, walk for 10 minutes after dinner tonight. That's it. 2 steps, 1 conversation, and 1 short walk. Healing isn't dramatic. It doesn't happen in a single day. It's more like what happens when you tend a garden. You prepare the soil, you add what's missing, and then you give it time. The grass grows back slowly, but it does grow back. Your body is not broken. It is asking, and now you know how to answer. I'm Dr. Linda Harrington. Thank you for spending this time with me on Golden Glow Senior. Eat well, move a little, and keep asking good questions. I'll see you in the next video.